Today we're talking about how American retailer JCPenney failed. Unlike lots of other brick-and-mortar stores, JCPenney wasn't killed by Amazon. It was a series of self-inflicted mistakes that led to its downfall. There's some critical lessons here you can't afford to miss. First, to understand why the failure of JCPenney was so shocking, you have to understand just how massive it used to be. Sam Walton, the guy who started Walmart, discovered his love of retail working at JCPenney in the 40s. At the time, it was the most prestigious place in the country to learn how to merchandise and sell. JCPenney was also an innovator, paving the way for stores like Target when they partnered with legendary fashion designer Halston in the 1970s.
Available at JCPenney.
For nearly 100 years, every town in America seemed to have a JCPenney, and almost everything you wanted could be found on its shelves. But by 2011, they were in serious trouble.
Announced this morning that it's shutting down 6 department stores and 19 outlet stores nationwide.
Hit hard by a few recessions, Penny's was run down and worn out. They needed a miracle, and their board did something surprising. They hired Ron Johnson to lead the company. He was a first-time CEO and a retail superstar after running retail for Apple and Target. On the surface, it was a bold, interesting move, but it turned out to be a huge mistake. Ron Johnson didn't waste any time. First, he rebranded JCPenney, starting with its logo and its name. JCPenney became JCP, with a stylish and Apple-like logo. Johnson then refreshed the look and feel of JCP's stores to try and attract younger shoppers. He replaced JCPenney's well-known store brands with 100 smaller boutiques, partnering with more trendy, upscale brands like Sephora. And on the surface, this might have made sense, but Ron Johnson missed something important about the psychology of JCPenney's most loyal customers. The people that loved Penny's were older, lower middle class women, basically moms, who wanted to snag a deal on clothes and homewares. By creating a retail experience that looked, sounded, and felt different, JCP's core customers were alienated. The psychology behind this is something called the self-reference effect. Basically, people resonate with experiences that reflect how they see themselves, and if you don't think of a store as a place where people like me shop, you don't want to go in. So after millions of dollars worth of renovations, their core customers didn't think of themselves as JCPenney customers anymore. And the younger customers didn't like the new JCP because it still had the reputation of being the uncool place where your grandma shopped to find a bargain. That's pretty bad, but this next one might have been their biggest mistake. JCPenney had been a discount destination. Their customers were bargain hunters. Knowing that they might miss out on a sale gave customers a reason to visit the store on a regular basis. But Johnson thought sales killed brands because it made them seem cheap. So he got rid of all the discounts and introduced what he called fair and square pricing. It did away with sale prices, and instead it only had 3 types of prices in the store. Every day, so prices that never changed; month-long values, these were theme sales for certain times of the year, like back-to-school clothes going on sale in August; and best prices, which were clearance items. In theory, the simplicity of this is beautiful, but Johnson overlooked the power of price perception. Pricing is basically a psychological game. It's all about how customers feel when they see a price or a sale, and Penny's customers really wanted to feel like they had saved money, even if they hadn't. Markdowns did that because of a principle called anchoring. Anchoring says that our decisions are influenced by the first information we see. We'll mentally grab onto this information without being consciously aware that we're doing it. In other words, when we see a blouse that was $60 and is marked down to $15, we feel like we're getting a deal, even if we're not. And feeling like they got a deal was more important to JCPenney's customers than actually getting a deal. And they made another huge mistake with their pricing. One small but really important thing that fair and square pricing did was to take the 99 off the end of every price. So instead of a sweater that cost $15.99, it now cost $15. And that might seem like a tiny thing, but studies show prices that end in odd numbers, like 99, are more appealing. It's down to a psychological pricing strategy called odd-even pricing. Odd-even pricing has been proven to increase demand for many types of products because it makes you feel like you're getting a deal. Those are pretty bad, but the next mistake was maybe the worst. Ron Johnson based most of his JCP strategy on what had worked at Apple. He might have been a superstar at Apple, but he was unwilling to acknowledge that JCPenney and Apple were two very different companies with different needs. Ron Johnson fell victim to a thinking trap called the hot hand fallacy. It says people think someone is on a hot streak based on their past performance. The hot hand fallacy happens a lot in sports. Let's say LeBron James starts hitting three-pointers over and over. All of a sudden, everyone thinks he's on a hot streak. In other words, he can't miss. But actually making one three-pointer doesn't make you more or less likely to hit the next one. Ron Johnson's hot streak was pretty good. Target and Apple are cult brands, and he undeniably did a great job with their stores. But a few successes doesn't mean you're more likely to keep winning. You have to test and try new things before you commit. And when people ask why he never tested his ideas, Ron Johnson just said, "We never tested at Apple."